Hello again, it's the OhioRAAM Show coming to you from Southwest Ohio. And today we have Wayne Kurtz from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania on the show. But first of all, let me just introduce the show here. We are the OhioRAAM Show. We are sponsored by the first two time stations in the race across America, located at Oxford and Lancaster, Ohio, where we say those of you who are RAM fans, RAM crews, RAM racers, RAM officials, we offer you 24-hour food, 24-hour fuel, and 24-hour fans. So if you come by during the race at 3 o'clock in the afternoon or 3 o'clock in the morning, we'll be there to greet you and to bring whatever assistance we can to you. And just let me say that my name is Lee Kreider. I host this show, and Wayne Kurtz, before the show went on the air here, was asking me what the show is about. And that's a good question, Wayne. We're about just about anything to do with cycling, although we do feature ultra cycling, and we do feature the race across America as our primary interest, because that's where we started with that particular race. But we're interested in most anything in the world of cycling that's of interest to ride on 2 wheels or 3 wheels or what have you. In fact, this last week I was over to Dublin, Ohio, doing some filming. Well, that's an old word, isn't it? We do videographing now. Filming's easier to say. Of the RAM Challenge series. And a friend of mine, Chuck Stiver, went over there and helped me with the video camera. Got interviews with both Rick and Fred Bothling, the CEO and executive director, well, in inverse order, of the Race Across America and the RAM Challenge Series. It was so nice to meet so many people there. I got a lot of interviews. I think I might have as many as 2 shows out of all that material. We'll see how that turns out. I have an ego just like anybody else does, and it's so good to go to these events and have people say, "Oh, I watch your show," or "Oh, you're Lee Kreider," and does me a lot of good, encourages me. But to see some people I've known for a while, some people I've known for a little while, and then to make some new friends. And I got a lot of interviews over there. It was quite a weekend, beautiful fall weekend here in Ohio, a little warmish, but people really enjoyed it, and I enjoy that. So the show is really about anything to do with cycling. Indeed, just by way of using up time here, which I shouldn't, but I'm going to go over to Columbus here in a few weeks and do a show with a group called Bikes for All People. Actually, it's a church group. It's a church that owns a bike shop. That's kind of interesting, isn't it? And they have a program to help people in a less economically desirable part of town fix bikes. And let me turn this thing off from beeping here. It's my pad. Bikes. Offer them tools, offer them discounts on parts, and essentially to get people out on the road. And I thought that's kind of interesting. We're going to do a show on that here, and it'll probably come up sometime in maybe December, sometime like that. Well, I've blabbed on enough here. Let's get to introducing our guest today, Wayne Kurtz, over in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. How are you today, Wayne?
Good, Lee. How are things there?
Oh, it's a nice day. We've had some warmish weather. It's what we call Indian summer here in the United States. By that we mean it's that after you have a little touch of fall, then along comes a little warm spell, and it's called Indian summer. I don't know. You've heard that phrase, haven't you, Wayne?
Oh yeah, we're in the same boat. We have Indian summer here. It's been close to 80 degrees, which has been very surprising at this time of the year, that's for sure.
Well, I've never heard, I was thinking about this morning, I've never heard of Indian spring, though, have you? Or Indian winter?
No, just Indian summer. That's the only one I know.
Maybe we'll start something here because that's when you think spring is here and all of a sudden you get a snowstorm or something like that. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's really, really quite nice here. And we're so glad to have you with us, Wayne. And let me say right off, I've been having a little throat trouble. I had it on the last show I did. And so if I have to turn my mic off here and take care of that way, you'll understand. Wayne, you're in Pittsburgh, and you're scheduled to do the Race Across America this year, correct?
Yes, first attempt, so looking forward to it.
And what age group are you in, dare I ask?
Yeah, I just actually had a birthday just the other day, so I will be, race day, I'll be 47. 47.
So you still have to race against those young guys.
Exactly, yes. Try to hang on, right?
My son is a marathon runner, and he is 48, and he's looking forward to that next year when he can compete against a crowd that he feels he had a little more advantage to. Plus, the Boston Marathon gives him 5 more minutes to qualify.
Right.
So, well, first of all, Wayne, other than cycling, you have a life sometimes that are off the bicycle. What do you do? What's life like for you there?
Yeah, I'll give you a little quick overview. I spend my working days in a couple things. I'm an entrepreneur by heart, and also I've been in the financial services business for the last, 26, 27 years in a whole host of different organizations. I spend most 2 weeks a month in London and then 2 weeks in Pittsburgh, actually running a organization over in London, a financial services investment company. So that's kind of the big part of it. And I have different platforms. I have a bunch of books. I'm an author. I speak around the world, so that keeps it rather challenging and interesting with training. And I'm married to a Greek woman. So for those of you who've seen The Big Fat Greek Wedding, I live that every day. So that's my other space. I spend a lot of time in Greece, and actually next weekend we're actually hosting 2 Americans. We're putting on a marathon running race in Rhodes, Greece, on October 12th. So really looking forward to that and helping to give back to the community there in Rhodes, Greece. So.
Well, that's great. We always enjoy the Greek Festival here in Dayton every year. Just a couple weekends ago, and I have to get down there. Now, there's a couple restaurants here in town that serve gyros, I think. Anyhow, they serve gyros,
Right.
but they are better there than you find them anyplace else. These people know how to make them,
Yeah.
and I don't drink, so I don't. What is it, ouzo, that everybody wants to?
Oh yeah, that's the famous Greek drink. Tastes a little bit like, has like that anise flavor in it. Correct.
But the other thing that I get there that you get a cup that's about so much, and that takes your caffeine needs for about the next week.
Yeah, pretty much. Yes.
When I first got one of those, I thought, well, that's very much coffee, and I found out that was enough coffee. Well, let's get back to your cycling, or actually, you've been involved in a lot of ultra sports, I guess you could say, at Ironman and what have you. Tell me a little bit about your background there.
Yeah, I was a swimmer in college, and then after that, picked up the first triathlon back in the 1980s when there weren't many races. So I kind of started in the triathlon space. So if we go back now, it's now 28 years later. I've done, 400 races and ultra marathons all over the globe, ultra triathlons all the way up to the world record race last year, which was the triple deck Ironman. So it was 30 Ironmans in 30 days. So that was the big signature race. I've done ultra cycling races, nothing of the magnitude of RAAM, so looking forward to that challenge, and we'll see how things go next June.
Well, let's back up just a second here. 30 Ironmen in 30 days.
Correct.
Did I hear that correctly?
You did hear that correctly. And this is like ultra cycling. There is a ultra triathlon space, a small group around the world, mainly in Europe. I race mainly in Europe because there's only a handful in the U.S. But these races are longer than the Ironman. It's the double Ironman, triple Ironman, quintuple, and then the signature race is called the Deca Ironman, where you do 10 Ironmans in a row. And we actually, there was a race last year, as I mentioned, it was called the Triple Deca Ironman. So this race was the first ever held. It was a Guinness World Record race. There were 8 of us that finished it. So it was an Ironman a day for 30 straight days. And actually, it was going on a year ago, as a lot of my friends who finished sent me messages this past week. We started in September and finished October, was it 8th last year? And it was in Italy, actually. The race was in Italy.
The only thing I can say is, wow. That's absolutely remarkable. And so you decided to tackle the big one here and do the race across America. And where did you qualify at?
Well, it's interesting. I was planning on doing the Ohio race to come and qualify. And I, as I mentioned to you, I travel extensively for work. So I just got home in time from Brazil, from 2 weeks in Brazil at a conference. So I had to cancel on the race, and I actually talked to the race director at RAM and said, I don't know if I can actually get a qualifier in prior to. So he said, send me over your bio, let me check out what you've done. And when I told him what we did with the Triple Deca Ironman, he sent back a very nice note to me and said, hey, it sounds like you'll be good. You could be able to be part of this crowd. In addition to that, I've got 2 friends of mine, 2 of the 8 finishers as well, over in Europe, one in the UK and one in Sweden, will also be doing the RAM race next year. So we got a few from the ultra triathlon space to kind of come over and see if we can suffer enough to make it to the finish line in RAM. So I think all 3 of us are looking forward to it.
Well, good. And I understand that you have written some books about your experiences and so forth. Can you tell me about those a little bit?
Yeah, it was actually kind of just fun. It was kind of a give back to the sport because I've done these races for so many years, met people all over the world, and to me it was, how can you give back? And one of the questions I was asked about, I don't know when it was, 5-6 years ago, is how do you train for a double Ironman? I don't want to get divorced. I have a family. I have time. I have a limited amount of time. So I've kind of put together the program that I used from a mental and physical training perspective, and it was called, the book was called Beyond the Iron. It was how to train for that type of event. So for me, it was a great experience of writing the book and showing people that you can actually do it. So the first one was Beyond the Iron, which was a training program on how to get ready for a double Ironman. And the second book was called Never Say I Wish I Had, which was a goals book. It was really about life goals and everything related to that. And the big component there was there's more to life than just racing and those things. So I went through my strategy that I've used for the last 10 years on goal setting. And then after that, the third one was the world record race, which was Stronger Than Iron. And that's the book that I co-authored with my good friend in Sweden, Stefan Zetterstrom. And those are all on Amazon. And Stronger Than Iron was really the journey that the 8 took to get to the finish line, including surveys. We went and interviewed everyone at the end. Mental, physical, how was your training, the ups and downs, when did you think you were going to drop out of the race, all that kind of thing. So it's really the journey everyone took was the last book. And that came out in May is when that one came out.
And I have your trailer up on the show right now, which has a little inset of Stronger Than Iron on it, along with your website, Wayne-Kurtz.com. You don't have to remember that, folks, because I will have that link in the show notes. So if you're watching on YouTube or something, you would need to go to the OhioRAAM show.com, and you'll find this show, which will be show number 61, Wayne. This is our 61st show we've done. And go look for show number 61, and you'll see a link to Wayne's website, a link to his Facebook page, and you tell me that we can find those books on Amazon. Is that correct?
Yeah, all 3 books are on Amazon, correct.
Are they on Kindle versions?
Yeah, they're all on ebook as well. So they're ebook and paperback for all 3 of them. So they're on every source. I think they're on Barnes and Noble. My publisher has kind of put them all over the place, so we've got them covered.
Good. Well, like I said, if you go to the show notes, and by the way, I should say, Wayne, and this could be happening on my end, but every once in a while you just lock up for just a fraction of a second, and just tell you folks that's what's going on. We haven't missed more than a couple of syllables in doing that, but it's the internet, and given what we pay for this service, what can we say, huh? What can we say? And, I should say a word that of appreciation while we're here. I don't say this too often. I appreciate Google and Google Plus for making this available at no cost to us, and we appreciate that. I always tell people, though, Wayne, don't write Google and thank them for this show, because they might take a look at it and decide that maybe this wasn't the best idea. But at any rate, we appreciate that so much. So, have you got your crew lined up yet, Wayne?
Yeah, I do. I'm going to use some of the same group, and I've had crews for years. These ultra triathlons or ultra races, you usually have to have a crew. So I've got my key ace mechanic, do everything leader, actually from Pittsburgh, very, very good friend of mine, who has raced all over the world and has got lots of experience. So he will be the crew leader, and then I have the rest of the crew kind of scattered, a couple from Sweden, one from Florida, and then the rest from Pittsburgh, kind of as my crew.
Good. So you've had some experience with them before this. You're not just meeting out there in Oceanside.
Long-term experience. They were all with me in Italy, and over the past 10 years, they've been to every DECA event, every one of the long races they've seen. So it is an experienced group, and for me, after all I've heard from friends who've done the race, it's imperative to make sure we've got a good working group. So good thing is they all get along, and hopefully no political zoo in the various vehicles. So we'll see.
Well, crew cohesiveness is a real critical factor, and I think over the years I've seen some situations where crews just kind of fell apart, and it's good that you've got some people that have worked together and know one another very well. Yeah. So have you had much experience with sleep deprivation, or is that going to be a new thing for you? I suppose on the Ironman you get that sometimes.
Well, yeah, the most sleep deprivation I've had is, I've done up to, 72-hour runs and things of that nature, but the most comparable would be the DECA Ironman, which is 10 Ironmans consecutively. So it just goes, the clock doesn't stop, and, the goal was to try to average just a few hours of sleep. So, yeah, I've had it. I've, hallucinated on the bike. I've crashed on the bike. I've done everything imaginable. I've fallen asleep running. So, yeah, that's going to be an interesting component of it, but I've trained over the last 15 years prepping on getting ready for those where it's least sleep. But that's going to be, of course, a big hurdle. We'll take it as it comes, that's for sure.
Well, it sounds like you've had a good background, a lot of experience, more than a lot of people that have taken this on. So we certainly wish you well, and hope things go well for you, Wayne.
Thank you. I'm excited to say the least. I know we're a long way away, but it'll be here before we know it. The training program starts November 1st, and then it will be all out assault to get ready to make sure healthy and recovered by race day. So looking forward to it.
Yeah, and before you went on the air, I was telling that over the weekend I had a chance to get myself reacquainted with your fellow. What do you call you people in Pittsburgh? You told me that.
We have this term in Pittsburgh. It's called Yinzers, Y-I-N-Z-E-R-S. So if you ask about a Pittsburgher, you really don't say a Pittsburgher, you say Yinzer. Those are the people that are from here. It's our slang. It's our Pittsburghese slang.
Well, I had a chance to talk with your fellow Yinzer, Dr. Patty George, who leads the Team Phenomenal Hope, who was here for the RAAM Challenge and equipped acquitted herself quite well, I must say. And all that crew there, they're something. Hey, Wayne, have you ever done that crazy thing that Danny Chu runs over there, that Dirty Dozen?
Yes, and of course you had to mention Danny when you're talking about Pittsburgh, right?
Oh,
I mean,
yeah, I shouldn't overlook him.
Oh my gosh! I mean, as good as it gets. And when I was doing triathlons way back, I'll give you a quick story. We used to run the staircase in the University of Pittsburgh. So it's about, I don't know, 40 flights in this condensed hallway. And I remember the one time we were over there on a Saturday, and we ran for about 12 hours straight up and down these things. And Danny was there for almost a day and a half, to give you a perspective of how crazy he was. So he used to tell us about the Dirty Dozen at the time, and it was just in its infancy in about the early 80s, well, mid-80s, when we started doing these things. And I have not done his official race. I have done the race because it's always at Thanksgiving, and you have to realize when you're married to a Greek, we have 70 people at this house, and it takes us 2 days to recover from that zoo. But I know it. I have ridden the Dirty Dozen course many times, and it is as bad as it looks on there. It is that bad. I mean, it's because Pittsburgh's short and steep. We don't have these long, long climbs for 20 miles. They are painful and steep. So I know it very well.
Glad I have to come over there sometime and take a look at that. I didn't say ride it. I said take a look at it. But,
it's incredible. I mean, some of it's really, really tough. Plus, it's terrible weather. I mean, it's usually raining and sleet, so it's always bad weather at the same time. So you mix that together with the climbing, it makes it a real joy.
Ryan Palermo, she won the women's division of that. I think she tore a derailleur or something up on her bike about halfway through, had to borrow a bike, and then rode the last, I believe it was the last climb on a flat tire. So this is just, you know, you talk of, this friend of mine I took over to help me with said, you want to go see these wacko people? And he said on the way home, he says, they just look like everybody else. I says, well, you know, maybe so. Hey, Wayne, thank you for being with us today. You got other agenda, I know, and we'll let you go. But we're so happy to have you here. But before we say goodbye and some closing announcements here, anything, last words you'd like to give us?
You know, I guess more than anything else for all the audience, I hope some of you who are doing RAM say hello. Look for the Pittsburgh guy out there in Oceanside next year, and forward to the journey, that's for sure. So everyone enjoy your training over the next 6 to 7 months.
Okay, Wayne, and we will be looking for you here in Ohio. When you get here, we'll have a welcome for you. There will be people here, and we have all kinds of surprises in store for you and everybody. We try to make it interesting. I want to say something though here while I'm thinking about it as we close down. In the interview, and I'll mention this, when people talk about staffing a time station, they point to our time stations and the one in Congress and a couple others as a way to do it and something to shoot for. And that always makes you feel good when you have that kind of credentials in this race. But I also want to say quite quickly that, remember, we didn't start like we are now. We just started with a couple people going out and putting up a canopy and saying, here we are. And it just kind of grew and grew. So don't think to have a staff time station you have to have something that looks like Congress or looks like Oxford or looks like Blanchester. Just do it, and so forth. Well, with that, I want to just put a little advertising up here for you. Some links that you want to know. The OhioRAAM.org, that's the website for these two time stations in Ohio. Of course, the official website, I say official, for the Race Across America is raceacrossamerica.org. Everything you want to know about the race is there, when it's going to happen, when it's happening, all kinds of information. And also ultraracenews.com, run by John Foote, which is an e-magazine about ultra racing. Again, almost everything you want to know about it, from what's happening, what's going to happen, nutrition, equipment, training, you name it. He has articles on there. Saw John over the weekend. He was one of the officials at the RAM Challenge, and it's always good to see him. We only live a few miles apart, as it happens, but we don't see one another very much. You don't need to remember all those. Go to our website, OhioRAAMshow.com. You will see the links to those, as well as you will see this picture of Wayne Kurtz under show 61, along with his links to his website, and you'll find all that information there. We always appreciate it when you give us a little boost for the show, either a like on Facebook or a little plus on Google+, share, retweet us on Twitter. All these things help the show to grow, and although that feels good to me, it really helps the sport to grow, and that's what we're here for and what we're trying to do. So we're going to say goodbye. Oh, by the way, if you would like to have show notices, there's also a place there on the website where you can sign up for an email service, and we'll send you an email whenever we post a show. That email won't go anyplace else but there. We won't get any advertisements from big money from Nigeria or some strange medications or something like that. That's all you'll find there. Hey, thanks again, Wayne, for being with us.
Thanks, Lee. Lots of fun. Appreciate it.
And thanks to all of you for viewing, and we appreciate all your support. With that, we're going to say goodbye.